Chapter 1. Chapter 1. Chapter 1.
Zakafyah.
She was born in an era where the place was a terror. Slaughters and killings, crime in Colombia, poverty stricken, humble beginning. Had to hit the streets on some pickpocketing. Started at 11, kidnap, ransom, gunshot, fire, see bullet shells dropping. Then fell in love with Carlos, the document forger, passport maker, getting people to America. Wedding bells at 13, started on a better dream. Landed in the USA, pickpocket counterfeiting. Then had 3 sons, Dixon, Uber and Osvaldo. Taught them everything, business was sweet, then it turned sour. Had to use connections, met a drug dealer, middle class Colombian, Alberto, Bravo. Fell in love again, wedding bells again. Next stop, straight into the cocaine business. Climbing up the ladder in Queens, New York. In the early 70s, America's appetite for cocaine increased in the clubs for the drugs. Griselda and Alberto had connections in Colombia for mass quantities, which gave them the advantage, but they had to find a way to smuggle the cocaine from Colombia straight into America, New York. Griselda up at night, trying to find a way to get the cocaine in undetected. Then Griselda had an epiphany, focused on security, that they don't look at women as closely as men. Then her idea sprung up, fake visas for models, make pouches in the lingerie and stuff in them drugs. Back and forth exchange was the concept in motion. Scam was so successful, she started a side hustle. Her savviness incredible, phenomenally remarkable, and as the demand for the drugs increased, Griselda devised more smuggling methods. Elderly and kids joined in the exchange. Drugs into money, then money into drugs. Double bottom suitcase, cocaine in the shoe base. Griselda bareface, scammed up the whole place, made success and success from Colombia to United States. By the early 70s, business was booming, demand skyrocketing, prominence was sweet. Smuggling, distribution, trafficking in Queens. The couple's operation making 10 million a week. Then the state and the law enforcement officials teamed up to form Operation Banshee to crack down on violence, Colombian traffickers with homicide detectives and the NYPD with intelligence analysts from their agency, and eventually investigators found out some names of freaky suppliers in the US: Alberto Cabrera and Griselda Blanco. Agent Palombo pursued Griselda to track down her whereabouts, cause she was a ghost. Griselda was never seen in New York by the cops, her whereabouts unknown. Griselda an enigma. Then in 1973, Maria Gutierrez from the travel agency in Medellin, Colombia, called up the DA and snitched on Griselda. Said Griselda's booked flights for couriers to America. The DA started working with Maria, using Griselda's tickets as evidence to couriers. They started seizing shipments of Griselda's drugs, grabbing 150 kilo hoop worth 11 million. Started arresting foot soldiers with the aim to get in the ranks to Blanco and Bravo, and told Maria thanks. On the 30th of April 1975, federal prosecutors indicted Griselda and Alberto, Bravo and 36 of their soldiers, screaming everyone's name, ready to drink champagne, charging them with conspiring to manufacture, import into the USA and distribute cocaine. But there's still a catch, they can't find Griselda. She's a phantom at this point, and they can't convict her ghost. Griselda and Alberto fled back to Medellin, and the USA had no federal connections with the Colombians. Griselda suspected that something don't seem right, got suspicious of Alberto's dodgy actions in the night. She was paranoid and nervous, watching him like a cat. She kept her friends real close and potential enemies even closer, flying back and forth in their private jets, keeping tabs on their fast-growing cocaine empire. But then a little later, to divide and conquer the United States of America, they split up from each other. Bravo stayed in New York, Blanco went Miami, but living different lives made Griselda feel funny. Had an impact on their marriage, things started falling apart in different ways in their marriage. Alberto broke her heart. Griselda realized Roberto stealing from their company. He got himself a girlfriend and left Blanco down in Miami. He took her to Colombia, spent so much time with her. Marital affair, Bravo never cared. He crushed all their love that they built over the years. Blanco crying tears, now she sees him as the ops, making new decisions, putting dots to dots. Now she raging red hot and she ain't gonna stop. She went Colombia in the winter and took matters into her hands. She said, I'm Griselda Blanco and I'm about to kill a man. It was a big shootout in the nightclub parking lot. Bravo hit Blanco in the stomach with a gunshot. Blanco hit Bravo in the face with a headshot. Brain cells splattered on the floor from the noodle knot. Blanco bleeding out but later on survived. Now with Bravo dead, Blanco is the queen of the empire.
Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Chapter 2.
Zakafyah.
The cocaine matriarch, queen on the throne. Even more dangerous now that she's alone. Healing from her injury, focused on the money. Cooking up a plan, smuggling scam. During the bicentennial celebration in 1976, she put 1,000 kilos of cocaine under one of the ships sailing out of Colombia. Big ship Gloria, looking like a diplomat, strategized new attack. But the DEA informant, big mouth Maria, blurted out her business and Griselda never noticed. But Griselda was smart, she only sent 13 pounds of cocaine, only on one ship, and the DEA seized it. But that wasn't the mothership. Griselda grabbed it and came up with new ways to innovate her smuggling. Speedboats and small planes, Blanco had smart brains. South Florida landed strips, drop-offs and pickups. As the cocaine godmother's empire was expanding, she took a protege under her wing in the trafficking. Pablo Escobar, you must have heard his name. It was Griselda Blanco that taught him the game. Miami in the 50s and 60s was quiet, with tourists from Europe on vacation from the cold, with senior citizens retired and relocated, living in Miami, spending loads of money until the late 1970s when Griselda made Miami a new base of operations. Cocaine drug baron, set up a new quarters and her business skyrockets 24/7. From Miami to California over to New York, Blanco was transporting tons of cocaine, but then she was faced with one major challenge: existing competition gangs angry at her game. But as the clock ticked, Blanco, the highest distributor, took over South Florida and the Cubans lost power. Then the turf war started, Colombians versus Cubans, Blanco ordering killings for Cubans to be killed. Bullets them flying, dropping like Skittles, wrecked and ruined, blown into smithers, shattered and crushed. Assassinations, annihilations, exterminations. Blanco sending hitmen, causing havoc in the place. She made motorcycle shootings, drive-by shootings, when a passenger gets close up to the ops and then shoots him in the head or in the back or in the side or in the face. By 1976, most of the ops are eliminated and the cops ain't putting in pressure, so that the empire's dominating the territory with ease, and the addiction for the drug has increased and increased and increased and increased. The cocaine mobster making 80 million a month, that's 960 a year, business blazing up in there. She bought a mansion in Miami, penthouse in Manhattan, jet setting back and forth, floating, living lavish, going Studio 54 and having parties in a penthouse. The cocaine legend in the fame and in the fortune. Party unending, cocaine snorting, nightlife, wildlife, big money spending. By now, reputation growing so rapidly, associates desiring to be where Griselda be, including unambitious young criminal Pablo Escobar, who she took under her wing. Young Pablo was a car thief doing small robberies. She told him, when you've saved up money, come and talk to me. Your future will be cocaine. As you can clearly see, my cocaine empire, cocaine monopoly. Pablo did as told, she taught him everything. She became his mentor, he became a protege. She showed him cocaine business and he learned everything, and with a short space of time she helped him make his first million. But later there's a shift, cause Blanco did not know the jealousy that Pablo had in his heart to her. The machismo grew big in Pablo Escobar. He wanted to rule and be over Griselda. In 1976, Escobar teamed up with some other drug traffickers that he had connections with, which led to the creation of the notorious Colombian dangerous Medellin cartel. Blanco never knew that her same student would soon become her biggest ever rival. Escobar grew up with a family in Colombia, and that was the only reason why he was even close with her. Blanco was too busy focused on a new lover, Dario Sepulveda, another drug dealer. Blanco had the power and Dario knew the score, and he wasn't trying to be the boss and make Griselda cross. By August the 5th, 1978, Blanco gave birth to another baby boy. She called him Michael Corleone, like in the Godfather film released in 1972, a gangster name for a baby. Now the Medellin cartel run by Escobar is growing in size and strength and power. Colombian government officials paid off to keep their mouth shut, Pablo paying for their silence. Everybody in Colombia is doing business with Pablo, and now this has caused a major problem for Blanco. Now Blanco's realized that she had lost some power due to Pablo Escobar biting at her empire. So now she's made up her mind that she will prove her point. She said, I will never back down to anybody at any time, cause I invented this. I'm the one that started this. These dirty scumbag traitors are taking the piss. By 1979, Blanco's on a rampage at the Dayland Mall, Crown Liquor Store. Two of Pablo's soldiers get followed and killed by Blanco's hitmen, a broad day massacre. 86 bullets spraying up the car park, making a point that Blanco's to be fed. Colombians warring Colombians, the beginning of a battle that went on for several years. Blanco henchmen slaughtering the ops, anyone in any place at any given time. Chopped up into pieces and left in cardboard boxes on the roadside for everyone to know that Blanco's done this. Violence at its wildest, no respect for public. Every day another drug-related murder. So much dead bodies scattered on the streets. They started storing them in refrigerated trucks. Now Blanco became the queen of Miami, not other cartels selling drugs without her permission in the city. Cocaine godmother, cocaine gangster. News reporters reporting the carnage story.
Chapter 3. Chapter 3. Chapter 3.
Zakafyah.
It was published in the 1981 Time magazine that South Florida's paradise is lost, a big disaster impacting the tourist trade. People scared to travel to Miami. Law enforcement had enough and created a task force compromised of homicide detectives, the DEA and other agencies, and called the collaboration the Senate 26. Lieutenant Diaz realized the cops were outnumbered with manpower and weaponry. The Colombians in the drug trafficking had AK-47s and 16s, paramilitary. The cops only had 6 shots, 38 and 357 revolvers to battle in the streets. Lieutenant requested for the best weaponry and was granted machine guns fully automatic. In 1982, cocaine in America reached a pinnacle of 10.4 million users. Everyone's addicted and the money ain't restricted, and Colombian assassins are reckless and ruthless. But there's one silver lining, the city's economy's booming. Blanco's rich lifestyle, splash money splashing. Club scene, party scene, money, money, money. Miami flushed with cocaine money. The impact of Blanco spending so much millions. The outcome of Blanco investing so much millions, putting so much dollars into legitimate companies, putting so much dollars into legitimate investments. Money rolling like crazy, people spending like crazy. Blanco wash your money in casinos, wash your money in real estate, wash your money in actual products sold out in Miami. Expansion, circulation, increase in the economy. Now California was in the midst of its cocaine boom, but not in the powder form. It was crack running the streets. It was taking over LA, it hit the place like a storm. While the upper class, working class had the powder form. On the streets they could get crack as cheap as $5. The lower class citizens got hooked on the drug, spending every dollar just to get a fix for a 20-minute in paradise narcotics. Jamaica was the queen of crack, in California selling crack to users in the black community. Crack was on a high demand in California, and Jamaica dominated and supplied the city, spreading throughout the United States and distributing on a large scale, making millions and increasing in power. The queen pin of LA in the peak of the 1980s, in the epidemic of crack. Money motivated and driven, queen pin Jamaica Thompson. I won the queen pin on Miami side. Blanco found out Dario was cheating on her with a different lady. She had blonde hair, blue eyes, and looked like an actress, causing turmoil in the marriage and making Blanco furious. This led to arguments, disagreements and fights, then to fighting each other for full custody of their son, Michael Corleone. He was very young, he loved his papa and his mum. He was Blanco's youngest one. Dario wanted Corleone to stay in school, but Blanco wanted Corleone to stay with her until they finally fell out completely. It reached a breaking point in 1983 when Dario took Corleone from Blanco's in Miami, said to going shopping but flew him out to Colombia, kidnapped their son, betrayed Griselda, then Griselda sends a hitman to Colombia, scouring the city until they found them. Posing as cops, they said get out the car, pointing guns at Dario, then spread him to the floor, shot 27 times, broad day massacre. Then Michael got sent back to Griselda, and now Blanco's known as the Black Widow. And many of the soldiers that had loyalty to Dario are sad that he's dead, including his brother. Now Blanco's paranoid and running out of friends, so she relocates to Cali to take over the ends. Straight to California, she takes her operation and sets up a new base, ready to trailblaze. The cocaine matriarch, big drug baron, steps into LA with a cocaine mission. Big operation to rule the entire West Coast region, the Blanco vision.
Chapter 4. Chapter 4. Chapter 4.
Zakafyah.
Now to run the new West Coast operation, Blanco put 3 of her sons in charge, Dixon, Ube and Osvaldo. They were the only main people that she could trust. All in their 20s, all spoke English, had American friends and Americanized, able to develop their own customer base, trained to be drug lords ever since birth. Divided into 3, they took 3 different regions to divide and conquer and spread the empire. Dixon ran business in San Francisco, Ube took LA, Osvaldo took Miami. Like a 3-headed monster, bringing in the money. The Blanco sons, running things for mommy. They started off selling 10 to 20 kilos, then flew up to 200 to 300 in a week. The 3 cocaine monsters controlling the business. Blanco put them in charge to deal with the customers. Trafficking for Blanco now, 3 distributors slinging that yayo, bringing in the paper. Now Blanco's focused on getting a new supplier chain, ready to flood the market as the product is on demand. So now she makes a deal with Marta from Colombia, who's a relative of Escobar's Medellin cartel, to sell Blanco $1.8 million worth of cocaine. But then Blanco gets greedy. Marta delivers her end of the deal, but Blanco takes the coke and orders Marta to be killed, because if Marta's dead, then I can't tell. Pablo, what's really gone wrong with the deal? Blanco was planning, Blanco was scheming to just keep the drugs without paying nothing. But things went left when the rest of the cartel found out that it was Blanco's orders for Mata Ochoa to be gunned down. This made the Medellin cartel vex. They put a $4 million bounty on Blanco to be killed. Took it as a violation and since she has to be killed. So now Blanco's on the run from the DEA and the whole entire Medellin cartel. In 1984 alone, Griselda survives 16 assassination attempts at her life. She now has to sleep with one eye open. From safe house to safe house, Blanco on the run, paying more for protection, realizing the decision to kill Mata Ochoa was a bad one that can't be undone. Run, Blanco, run. The Medellin cartels shooting the gun. It's 1984, Blanco's living in Cali, the golden city. A brand new coast still can't be found by the DEA. The cops are saying Blanco still remains a ghost. So then they decided to shift their attention and focus on Blanco's 3 big sons. This is when they started a new operation in LA with the code name Los Ninos. Now the DEA is getting even closer when another big snitch said it's time to tell. Walks in the office and said he's got information, and he goes by the name Gerardo Gomez. Very articulate, Americanized Colombian, sitting down discussing plans with the feds. Said he knows Griselda from back in the day when he had a car garage in Colombia, Medellin. Gomez said he's got a girl cousin dating Dixon, and they live in San Jose, California. So then he flew to Cali to meet up with his cousin and Dixon, orchestrated and planned by the feds. At the Holiday Inn in San Jose, Gomez and Dixon discuss business. Dixon breaks down the whole organization with him and his brothers and all the operations. Gomez then offers to help out the family with money laundering throughout his companies. The brothers bought into it and gave Gomez money. He flew back to Miami and collected more money, then facilitates to transfer all the money to a bank in Panama. The first laundering trial, the sons were pleased with the transaction and convinced their mother to meet up with Gomez at the new Airport Beach Marriott. Blanco has no idea that she's walking right into a DEA trap, and that the launderer she's meeting is a federal informant. While the transaction is going down, DEA Bob Palombo is sitting close by, watching and waiting as Griselda walks by. She's disguised, but then Bob noticed the telltale traits. Griselda's cliff chin and dimples on her cheeks, a straight giveaway for face characteristics. Bob and his partner looked at each other. They wanted to high five, but quickly restrained before they blew their cover, smiling at each other, thinking yes, finally we have got Griselda. Griselda agrees to a big money launder, giving Gomez $500,000. Blanco leaves the cash behind, then she walks out. Bob Palombo still sitting and watching, but couldn't do nothing to give away the game. Had his focus on the evidence, the tapes and the recording to corroborate the informant's testimony. Gerardo Gomez and the laundering money, little by little, bit of this and bit of that. Bob and his partner was eager for a crack. Now Blanco the fugitives disappeared again. For another 12 months the feds hunting her again. Then just before they feel that she slipped the net again, they get a call from her mother saying her daughter's there in Uber. Intel that led to tracking down Blanco, living in a townhouse in Irvine, Cali. The cocaine godmother running and hiding, ducking and diving, and Michael ain't happy.
Chapter 5. Chapter 5. Chapter 5.
Zakafyah.
February 17th, 1985, on early Sunday morning, DEA Bob was parked across the street with members of his team. He saw Michael Corleone and the housemaid going to the park to play toy guns. Now Bob and his partner went through the front door, then signaled the others to go through the back door. Gripping guns tight, quick surveillance check, then quickly racing upstairs. Kicked open the door and I met with a shock. Griselda in bed, reading the Bible. Bob shows his credentials, said, "Hola Griselda." She said, "No, me llamo Betty." Then Agent Palumbo approaches Blanco and makes a bold move, gently kisses both cheeks like the Italians. Kiss of death. Palumbo thought it was fitting at the time. Then Michael, who was only age 6 at the time, saw helicopters in the sky circling the house. So he ran back home and saw the place was a mess. Ran straight to Griselda and hugged his mama. And his mom said to him, "I don't know who these cops are saying that I am, but they're taking me away. So you'll have to go with them, but I'll see you soon and you will see me again. I love you, my son." Then Corleone was ushered off to the county orphanage while his mama was taken to the federal detention. Bob Palumbo and his team were so happy. They went back to the office and had a big celebration. With so much investigation and so much observation, they said yes, and with the evidence, she has to go to prison. Blanco sent back to Miami to face trial for the Operation Banshee indictment issued 10 years ago. The feds also issued a second indictment against the Queen of Cocaine and her 3 big sons on June 25th. 1985, she was on trial in the Sovereign US District Court, charged with involvement in a drug operation with Alberto Bravo, who is now deceased. The defense's strategy to blame it on Bravo to make out like Blanco is a timid housewife. But the prosecution has an eyewitness, a former drug smuggler from Blanco's camp. Miss Kamakaban, who was the paramour of the right-hand man for Griselda Blanco, the very man who was responsible for the cocaine trafficking that Bravo and Blanco conducted in the city. Then on July the 10th, 1985, the jury finds Blanco guilty, the international narco trafficker. She got sentenced to 15 years in the federal prison, but Bob Palumbo was vexed. He wanted Blanco to get more. And on dismantling her drug operation, the DEA is hunting her 3 big sons. Then they finally catch them and handcuff and arrest them. Uba Dixon and Osvaldo. They put all 3 on trial and the boys pled guilty to conspiracy to distribute cocaine. They all got 12 years in the federal prison, and Blanco on top of the 15 years from the New York trial gets another 10 years from her Florida crimes. But in an unexpected ruling, Griselda, the queenpin, is allowed to serve her terms concurrently, and young Michael Corleone is sad and distraught that his mama and his big brothers are incarcerated. Corleone had to grow up quick mentally and accept the reality. Now Blanco in 1985 in the federal women's prison near San Francisco, she meets Jamaica Thompson, former queenpin of crack. They had a good connection in prison, became good friends. Blanco went to the chapel every single day and talked to Jamaica about God and life. Jamaica realized Blanco was humble, loving and caring, and saw a different side. Blanco still lived like a queen in the prison, still had maids doing everything for her. Her makeup, her cooking, her cleaning, her washing. She took care of them and they took care of her. Still estimated at over $1 billion. She's dressed in Gucci and Louis Vuitton, wearing 18 carat and 22 carat rings and chains and heels in style whilst in the prison. Now in 1993, Jorge Riviera, Blanco's trusted hitman, pleads guilty to murder. Rivi got charged with 3 hits, and Rivi was staring down a death sentence. So Rivi flipped. Rivi cuts a deal, was Blanco's top hitman. He has all the dirty secrets where all the bodies are buried. Who did what, when and where, Rivi's got the answers. So now they're seeing Rivi as a precious star witness. On July the 28th, 1994, state prosecutors in Miami are charging Blanco with 3 counts of murder, cold-blooded murders. Blanco starts panicking, this can't be happening. Desperate to avoid a murder conviction, Blanco hatches an audacious plan to kidnap the Prince of Camelot, John F. Kennedy Jr., the son of the former president, John F. Kennedy. She plans to hold him for ransom, to trade his freedom for her freedom, to get her out of prison. But her connections said it's too risky and backed off and never went through with the plan. So now Griselda's at the end of her rope, and now she's dreading that electric chair in the prison with her hands on her face, say no, 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 something has to get me out of here. In the month of February 1998, as Griselda's case approaches trial, it's rocked by a big bombshell revelation. The prosecution star witness, Reevy's been engaging phone sex with a secretary from the prosecutor's office. This creates a major problem from the state's attorney office, because now they got a credibility issue. VV phone sex scandal, was it planned or was it natural? It essentially obliterated the prosecution's case against Griselda Blanco, so they offered her a plea to salvage the case and not to lose it completely. And Griselda Blanco agrees to take in the plea. Blanco pled guilty to second-degree murder and now takes her mind off the electric chair. So now Griselda's actual sentence was revised to reflect the guidelines that were in effect in the 80s when she committed her crime. 3 cold-blooded murders ordered by Blanco. Phone sex scandal. Blanco just got 7 years, like a slap on the wrist, but I had no choice cause of the hole in the case. Rivy and the secretary, Bob Palombo pissed off, can't believe his eyes, can't believe what he's actually hearing in his ears. Reminiscing on the kiss of death that he gave Griselda, dreaming of seeing her in the electric chair. In the month of June 2004, after 720 years locked behind bars, Griselda Blanco, at the age of 61, is released from prison and deported to Colombia, just like Blanco's 3 oldest sons, Dixon, Ube, and Osvaldo, when they were released and deported back to Colombia 6 years earlier. Now it's her turn. She arrived in Colombia with no empire. The cocaine godmother is finally home. Been so many years, but she's finally home, getting hugs and kisses from all of her sons, and they sold a few properties to set her up nicely to live the lifestyle that she was accustomed to. She kept a low profile, living back in Colombia, as many of her enemies had wanted her dead. Nearly 40 years of rule in the cocaine world. The cocaine queen has outlived many. Most of her competitors, most of her enemies, most of her lovers, and she is still here. From when it all started at the age of 11, now she's 70 plus years. So much events, inspired, transpired, and expired, and now the queen of cocaine has basically retired. But in 2012, September the 3rd, Blanco went meat shopping down at the butcher's when 2 people pulled up on a motorbike, and the person at the back of the motorbike jumped off and walked up to Griselda and shot Griselda twice at close range, 2 in the head. Griselda dropped down, crashed into the ground, and the shooter jumped back on the motorbike and sped off. And that was the end of the cocaine godmother, cocaine queenpin, cocaine drug baron, cocaine mobster, cocaine matriarch, cocaine trafficker, cocaine smuggler. Griselda Blanco, killed in Colombia. Born February 14th, 1943 to September the 3rd, 2012.